Alex Morgan is thought to be one of the most talented female soccer players in the world. Her full name is Alexandra Morgan Carrasco. She played for Orlando Pride for the solid part of her life and also for American women's soccer national team. Her career started right after college. At FIFA 2011 World Cup, Morgan was the youngest girl on the US national team. Her talent is so unusual, so we decided to look at her life and to tell you more about this prominent person. Alex Morgan was born in 1989, and one could say she is now a veteran of soccer. But she doesn't only look much younger her age, she also keeps great shape and is ready to compete with younger players at any levels. She's certainly the person to look up to. Parents and early life. Alex Morgan was the third child in her family, and she has two older sisters, Jeni and Jeri. Her father was a soccer coach, so young Alex spent a lot of time on pitches looking at people playing. She started playing soccer at a very early age, but her first professional debut happened when she was 14. Age 17, Morgan was called to the under-19 US national team. Her parents supported her at every step of her sport career. Alex says that her father was the person who gave her love to soccer. But Morgan had a lot of chances to do many other sports. In her childhood, she did athletics and was a multi-sport athlete. It helped her acquire great physique and get prepared to exhausting football matches. As Alex Morgan was 7, she wrote a letter to her mom, Pam, telling her that she would love to become a professional soccer player. Pam was surprised because the girl was so young to think about her career. But as you see, this letter worked out and Alex achieved her dream. Michael Morgan, Alex's father, used to have a construction business that didn't go well. But even in his hardest times, he picked up 6 or 7 girls around the city in his truck and gave them a ride to a football pitch where they had a fair training. Morgan says her father didn't have a clue about football and coaching was his hobby, but he anyway gave her a good basis to perform well in her future. Michael even took referee classes to learn more about the sport and to help his daughter. Alex Morgan describes her mom as a Wonder Woman, saying that she got back to school having 3 kids already and doing a full-time job to get her MBA. And Alex never felt that her mother paid her less attention than needed. Alex Morgan marriage, husband and kids. In 2014, the sports magazines were all screaming about the news that Alex Morgan was going to marry Servando Carrasco, an American football player. He's a midfielder in Fort Lauderdale FC currently. Alex describes her wedding as the most exhilarating thing that has ever happened to her. Although it was a Mexican-American dinner party with not a lot of people presented, the couple was married on New Year's Eve. Servando describes his wife as a girl of many talents who always stays true to who she really is. They've been living separately due to their professional careers, but the couple uses any chance to spend time together. In May 2020, Alex welcomed her first child, Charlie Arena Carrasco. The couple was extremely happy to get to a new level and become parents, but they still have to cope with a lot of difficulties because of living separately. Now they can't even meet often because they are split by Atlantic Ocean. Main highlights of Alex Morgan's soccer career. Morgan's professional career started in 2011 from the WPS draft when she was picked by Western New York Flash. In a year, she left the team to play for Seattle Sounders women, and 1 year later she joined Portland Thorns FC to stay there 3 seasons. In 2016, Morgan found her place at Orlando Pride soccer team. The peak of her career started when she moved to France to play for Lyon. In France, she had the chance to play in the UEFA Women Champions League, and even played in a final, but got an injury and had to leave the pitch. After playing for Lyon, Morgan returned to Orlando Pride and kept playing for the team until 2020. These were the best years in her career. But in 2020, Alex Morgan returned to Europe again to play for Tottenham Hotspur. She wasn't very successful in a new team, so in the end of her year, Tottenham announced that Alex would finish her career in Britain and return to the US. In her career, Alex took part in 3 FIFA World Cups and in 2 Olympics. She is one of the most experienced soccer players among women in the US, and even after giving birth to her daughter, Alex is not going to stop her career. She is now in the process of returning to Orlando Pride, and she is going to have a great season. How much does Alex Morgan earn? The most intriguing part of our video is the financial part. Everyone wants to know if the iconic soccer player earns enough money. And here we will need to tell you bad things. Women's soccer isn't that well paid in the US. That's probably why Morgan tried to relocate to Europe twice. In Lyon, she reportedly earned around $400,000 a year. That's huge for women's soccer. But in the US, things are much worse. Alex can barely manage to sign an $85,000 a year contract. And that's arguably the best women's soccer player in the country. The average salary for women's soccer player on the professional level in the US is around $55,000. In Europe, the situation is pretty much the same. But the stars can get much more money from clubs. Alex Morgan is known to be the activist for equation movement. She has given lots of interviews explaining why women and men's soccer salaries should be nearly the same. For comparison, men's soccer players get an average of $350,000 base salary a year. The stars in men's soccer can get millions of dollars just for signing with a certain team. But things are not that bad if we look to additional revenue sources for famous sports people. Alex Morgan makes at least $300,000 a year taking part in advertisement campaigns. Alex has been spotted in ads for Bridgestone, Volkswagen, McDonald's, Coca-Cola, Nike, Continental Tire, Panasonic, and many other brands. That may be the main source of income for women in professional sport currently. Also, Alex Morgan has an Instagram account with more than 9.2 million followers. Such a massive audience can make her another $2 million a year if she decides to become a social media influencer. What else do we know about Alex Morgan? Alex Morgan is the biggest advocate for equality between men and women in sports. She and Megan Rapinoe are probably the most influencing people in women's soccer in the USA, so their words really count. For the years of fighting against these salary caps, they've managed to really move the salaries up. But it's still a long way to go. Alex Morgan wrote a book about soccer, and she is now the #7 best-selling author in New York Times among the books for middle school-aged children. Alex Morgan loves animals, and she has an adorable cat called Brooklyn. The strange thing about the cat is that it has 6 toes on each of the front laps. The cat is one of the main characters for Alex's Instagram posts, and it can only lose in this to Alex's little daughter. Alex Morgan is often said to be the most beautiful soccer player in the world. She's had numerous photo shoots for magazines showing her wonderful sporty body. But few fans know that in 2012 she had a photo shoot for Sports Illustrated, where she wore a USA flag pattern swimsuit that was actually painted on her body. Her teammates often call Alex a baby horse. That's kind of a nickname for her in Orlando Pride. It actually represents her eternal youth and style of running. But Alex herself has never commented if she actually likes such a nickname. So if you meet her somewhere on the street, don't call her a baby horse, please.